Right, so I'm here with, very successful racing driver, it has to be said, Allan McNish. So, Allan, of course, now retired from racing, of course, a year with Toyota and obviously in the World Endurance Championship with Audi for many years. What would you say your favourite season of racing was?
When you've raced for 32 years, it's difficult to sort of pinpoint one. I think probably the first year's racing in karting, because everything's all new and it's all fresh and exciting and you're learning and you get so much better every single day. Ultimately, the last year of my career in 2013, because we won everything there was to win. Won the World Championship, won Le Mans for the third time, and also for me won the Tourist Trophy, which was that was a huge one to try and win, especially from a British perspective. And then was awarded the Seagrave Award at the end of the year in the BRDC Gold Star. So, as I rounded everything up, it was a stunningly successful season and a very nice way to go out.
It certainly was a great end to a career, it has to be said. So we've seen WEC have something of quite a spike in popularity, especially over the past couple of seasons. Do you feel it's definitely on its way up?
I think so. Sports car racing has sort of had a bit of an up and down time in my period in there, which is from the mid-90s. It was very successful at the end of the 90s and then dropped off a little bit as manufacturers went and did other things, specifically Formula One. And Audi was a sort of stalwart all the way through the 2000s, and now, 3 seasons into the World Endurance Championship as it's been revived, we've got Porsche, we've got Audi, we've got Toyota, Nissan are coming, Aston Martin are there, Ferrari are there in GT. So, there's some big names and also big driver names as well. And if you look at the paddock, then it's a very impressive paddock. If you look at the racing, then it's fantastically cut and thrust stuff. And I think the future's very bright for it right now.
I hope so as well. So, now you're obviously a Scotsman, along with fellow F1 driver David Coulthard, former F1 driver David Coulthard as well. And in recent years, we haven't seen a lot of Scottish drivers within the Formula One paddock. What would
I don't know. We had Paul di Resta up until this year.
I suppose so. But there's not really that much Scottish talent on the Formula One level. What would you say the reason?
I don't think that's true, to be honest with you. I think if you look at it for a country of 5 million people, we've had Dario Franchitti winning 3 times the Indy 500, myself with Le Mans, we had David in Formula One, raced in Formula One myself, we had Paul di Resta that's come through. That's not too bad for one little collection in a small period. Now, the only other country you could ever look at to equate it across to is Finland, because of the sort of numbers, and I think we're punching very well on our weight there. The question, I suppose, is not necessarily what's happened in the past, because the past is exactly that, the past. It's what's happening in the future. The biggest, there's Gordon Shedden, British touring car champion, just walked out as another example. The talent is there. Ryan DL is over in the US, and he'll be competing in the Daytona 24 Hours again, a race that he's won. He won the World Endurance Championship in the LMP2 category, and he's not necessarily in the Formula One side of it. In single-seaters, the biggest issue, as it is for every other driver, is finance and the amount of money that's coming through, and a lot of the talent is actually looking towards other areas of the sport, because they're just not in a physical position to sort of get in the first rungs. An example of that is Charlie Robertson, who looked at Formula Renault in the European Championship after being a BRDC Autosport in the 6 lineup for last year, having finished second in the Formula 4 Championship, and he wasn't in a position financially to make that jump, and so then went to Ginetta Juniors and won the Ginetta Championship. He's now going to be racing in LMP3. So I think the talent clearly is there. It's just that they don't necessarily have the big pockets wherewithal to be able to get those steps done that maybe other people are.
Do you think it's a shame? Obviously, someone like Jolyon Palmer, of course, GP2 champion, isn't able to make the step up to a race seat in Formula One mainly due to finances, of course. A lot of teams.
It's opportunities. It's due to opportunities, and that's always been the case. But I think it's wrong that a GP2 champion doesn't get his chance in F1. that simple.
Yeah.
Because it's meant to be a feeder formula, and you're meant to have a structure that the champions will go forward. If you've got a situation as Formula 3000 happened a few years ago, where they didn't have any of their champions in a 3 or 4 year period getting into Formula 1, then you question the relevance of the championship.
Yeah.
I do. And then you look to see what else is around, and I think what's happening nowadays is that drivers are not waiting until they get to that level before making that mental choice. They're actually doing it much, much earlier and saying, well, why are we spending 1.3, 1.5 million on a GP2 season if it doesn't get us into a Formula 1 seat, or if I need 8 to 10 million to get into a Formula 1 seat? And that's a very, very harsh decision, and it's one that I'm very glad that I'm not having to make. You know, when I was on the way up through, there were a lot, and it was just with David Brabham earlier on, we fought out Vauxhall Lotus Championship, Formula 3 Championship, but we were in fully funded sponsored drives because there were young drivers programs in those days. Now you've got the Red Bull program, and really that's kind of it.
Yeah, it is a shame to see. Obviously you've got the McLaren BRDC award as well that was handed out this year to George Russell, so it'd be interesting to see what comes of that, of course.
That's been around for a wee while, and it's a fantastic award, but it's more for the recognition as opposed to the financial commitment that it allows you to make the next step. You know, if you're the most recognised guy in the world but you don't have the budget and you're not in the car, then it doesn't really matter.
No, quite right. And just finally, what's 2015 holding for you? Are you working with the BBC still?
Yeah, I'm contracted to Audi as an ambassador and a consultant to them on their racing programmes, so I'm very busy with that. That's principally the main sort of job, if you want to call it that. A job. Oh, it's a bizarre thing. And also the BBC, where I do the TV and the radio for 15 of the Grand Prix, which is a lot of fun. And I also work with Harry Tinknell, who's a young driver, won LMP2 Le Mans this year, finished second in the championship. And so it's been quite a bit there's quite a variety in there, but there's also quite a bit of fun.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, I was going to say, speaking of Harry Tinknell, I was upstairs interviewing Petter Solberg earlier, and he photobombed a photo with himself and Petter. It was brilliant. So anyway, thanks for taking the time to chat to us.
Thank you.
Cheers.